Hello, Sydney here, welcome to the Drunken Ork. So if you saw my last video where I reviewed the Army Painter Speedpaints, and if not, why not get it watched? Unless it's in that corner. But I think it's that corner. Find it, you know, it won't be hard, it'll be one of them. Then you'll know that I got some Ork Boyz, give them a zenithal highlight, and then slapped on some of the speed paint. Contrast paints, quick shades, you know, give them a name. But it was from the Army Painter range. Now the video ended after I'd put that on and had a final look at them with just those colours. But I did say I was going to apply an oil wash. And that's what this video is. I'm a man of my word, you know what I mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the steps I took to put the oil wash on. And then have a look at them, well, once the oil's dry. And then of course I'm going to give them another quick varnish as well with some matte varnish just to take any excess shine off as well, and we'll do that towards the end. So let's get cracking. So to do the oil wash I've got some old brushes, which as you can see from the actual clip of these are old, very ropey brushes, mostly because I've used them for oil washes before. I've got some oil paint, and for this I'm going to be using, wrong way, some burnt umber. Am I going to be using burnt umber? Yeah, I'm going to be using burnt umber with maybe a little bit, God almighty, of black, just to darken it down a shade. Sometimes what I use for the skin is magenta. Now I love a bit of magenta on the skin because it adds that sort of fleshy tone, but I think it works better with a pale green, whereas this green's quite dark and I don't know if it's going to show up as well, so I've got a feeling that that's not going to be as effective. Plus it's all blurred and stuff. Yeah, so sack off magenta and we'll just stick with the burnt umber. So just the two. I've got a little mixing dish. This is metal because, you know, you're using white spirits and what have you, and it's just nice to have a little metal dish. And of course I've got some decanted odourless white spirit, I did say odourless, in a drotter bottle because it's just easier to add than glugging it out the, you know, the big bottle and it getting everywhere. Skivert a little bit into there. Also, if I'm doing the whole model in one colour, it's going to be a bit easier. Oh, you bastard. So as you can see, oil paint's beautiful stuff. Look at that. You can just paint it straight out of the tube. Nothing can go wrong when you're painting with that. Looks like bird shite. It's clarty work. So we'll just add a little bit to start with, and then I'm just going to mix this up to form like a, essentially, it's not so much going to be a paste because it'll be thinner than that, but I want to mix it up so there's no lumps left in the oil paint. Once I've got it smooth, then I can go to add more of the white spirits to thin it to the consistency I want. And the good thing with having all these lights on it is I can't really see what's a lump and what's just a reflection. Ha ha ha, job's made easier. Sarcasm, by the way. Now you want to get the consistency right. If you put it on too thick, then it's going to cover really thickly, funnily enough, and then when the white spirits do sort of evaporate off, you're going to be left with a much darker model. Whereas if you put it on too thin, it's basically the oil paint's going to be so diluted it won't get very good coverage, and it's not, I'm not going to say it's barely there, but you'd get the same effect with a normal wash. Don't really have any tips for the exact consistency that you're after because that depends on the effect that you want to achieve. Best advice is play around with it, see what you can get. Now I don't want this too thick. I just want this to add a bit of grime, darken down some of the brighter colours, but still allow them on the highlights to pop back through. So I don't want it too thick. Now you can see here, well I don't know if you can see here, when I'm wiping it off the brush, it's staying clumped up there. So that's basically going to be like painting with, I wouldn't say Marmite, Certainly not Marmite, I need a knife for that fucker. Maybe melted chocolate. I want it a bit thinner. If I go too far and I make it too thin, I can always add a little bit of oil paint anyway to thicken it back up. And what I'm going to do as well is splash my hand with oil paint, which just shows how easy it is and how messy it is. I get this stuff everywhere. I'm going to get another little tray. That's just going to be for cleaning, and a bit of kitchen roll just for clartiness, because you don't want to be sticking this in your water pot. It won't really do much apart from fuck your water pot up. I mean, all you need to do is change it, but you know, still just getting off the worst of it. I'll give him a proper clean at the end. So I'm going to go with this fella first and basically just give him a coat, and because I'm just using the same colour all over, there's no real care or attention going into this. Oh, it's on his skin, it's on his skin. Now if you've not done it before and you don't know what to expect when you get to this stage of an oil wash, generally your arse starts twitching and you start getting a bit short of breath because you've just spent time painting these models and now they look a bit like that. What have I done? Have faith. I'm not going to put you through all of this, so I'm going to come back once I've got them all coated. So here we go, they've got the full oil wash on, looking like they're in some sort of dirty protest. So I'm going to leave this to cure a bit. Generally try for about 40 minutes. Just give some of the white spirit a chance to evaporate off and leave behind more of the oil, and then I'll go over and give them a clean with these massive things. These medium-sized things. Cotton buds or Q-tips. Or ear penetrators. I don't know if anybody actually calls them that. So I'll be using some of that, and I've got another little tray. It's actually the same tray before, but I've cleaned it because I am a methodical worker. Although you can still see on here there's lots of little bits of oil wash on the board itself. This is why I picked the orange foam up to save it. So when I'm buffing them up with the cotton tip Q buds penetrators, then if it's a little bit too dry, if I'm having trouble getting it off, as it were, I can just give it a little bit of a dip in the white spirit, and it'll help shift it, reactivates it a bit, and I can shift it just in the highlights. So I'm going to come back in another 15 minutes or so, and then start working. In first, and working way along the line, because that's the order I did them in. Excuse the shaky cam. Okay, so I've left these actually for about 20-25 minutes, and I've already given this fella a bit of a clean up, just as a bit of a test really, and yeah, that's come out alright. Muscle on the back's all sort of shaded and detailed, has all the scars. You see the skull on his belt looks nice, the shooter looks particularly grimy, gold's popping out against the silver, the stitches. And the face, yeah, face has come out nice as well. So, let's get on. Let's move these three back, give us a bit of space. Try not to get too close to the camera. And let's do the nub. Oh, what's... There we go. Can't do much with a one like that. You need to have one of them on the end. Just start down with the boot and the pants. These pants were, I believe they were a light grey, so it's hard to tell now. Give his belly and his titties a wipe. Now you can use cotton, I mean you can get the ones like that. They're plastic. But I like the bamboo ones because they just seem to hold onto the tip that little bit better. I've had the plastic ones, especially when you get a bit rough with them. They just tend to pop off. Apologies, it's a bit awkward doing this on camera. And there's going to be some bits you'll not be able to reach. But that's alright. Because they're generally going to be bits in the shade anyway. I'm going to swap out now. You go through quite a few of these. And like I say, I only give this 25 minutes because it was all it needed really. Generally the thicker the wash you put on, the more time it'll take to dry. The varnish seems to be doing its job. I mean you can't even see this, it's a bit blurry, isn't it? Tell you what I'll do. You can see the shooter there, the red shooter. There's the blue coming back through, front of the skull. And I think this was just silver at the top. It's not snapped. I just didn't glue that bit in. And I'm not taking it off just yet. Although, I'll be honest, I did get a bit of a fright there. Give it a twist in there. Got to brush your teeth. You get the idea of what I'm doing anyway, don't you? So, we'll leave this for now. And I'll just go away and I'll get all these done. Then we'll come back. So, that's all the oil cleanup done. You've seen that fella. Finished the knob off. Quite pleased how he came out. There's that shooter boy. Nice burnish on the shooter. Yellow looks pretty cool. Not too bright. Another shooter boy. Excuse these paint marks. I was painting something else whilst I was waiting for those to dry a bit. That shoulder pad's come out really well. And finally, the heavy weapon dude. Quite like the commando gas mask on him. His rucksack looks pretty good as well. They're basically touch dry now, but oil paint can take a good while to dry, depending how thick it was. You know, you could be talking 24 hours, 48 hours. According to Google, you could be talking weeks, months, or even years. Although I don't think I quite put it on that thick. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to leave these for a day or two. Which will be easy enough, because I've got work tomorrow. And for the rest of the week. And then once I've had a few days to dry, I will go over them. Because you can see there's a little bit of a shine on them. There you go, shine. Bit of shine. See, if I rotate them, you'll see the shininess. A little bit of shine on them. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give them a couple of days just to get the oil paint nice and dry. And then I'm going to go over them with some matte varnish. It'll just seal it in and it'll take the shine off them. That'll be on with an airbrush. Because I can't be bothered to paint them, when I come back I'll have given them a matte varnish and then they will be done. If I wanted to, I could go through and pick out the odd detail at this point. If I thought there was parts of it which needed to just be highlighted up a bit, like the eyes maybe on there, but I just wanted white eyes. And yeah, they look like they don't need picking out. If I was going to do any little bits of edge highlighting, I could do it at this point. But really, I think the oil wash gives enough sort of depth and shading. But I don't think I really need to go through and do that. Or at least, I'm not going to. So, you know, there you go. I mean, look at the grip on that pistol. Ah, that's lovely, that. And the skull. And the horns on the helmet, I mean. Excuse me, see me dirty thumb? That's from the oil paint at. I have to have a good long steep after this. Anyway, yeah. Matte varnish next step. So here they are after the matte varnish, and that was just to take a bit of shine off them. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the way they've come out. It hasn't changed the colour on them a great deal, but it has, like I say, got rid of that glare where the light catches them and it flares up a bit. There's the knob. Green doesn't look half bad actually once you've got the shine taken off it and it's been tamped down. Hopefully you can see that better. Like I say, I'm really happy with that waistcoat, and that adds a lot of depth to the model with the oil wash. So that's the knob. Big shooter boy. Pleased with that. Like I say, I like the green. I don't think I like it enough to use the exact same green again. I'll probably find something else. In fact, I have found something else. I'm trying the GW Contrast Mantis green. I might still put a Beal Tan wash over that first though. but I certainly don't dislike the green enough to, you know, redo it. It'll certainly find a place in me war, but everything else I think looks absolutely spot on. There we go, there's a shooter boy with the most green on him. What I like about the oil wash is, even if it's a bit dark and grimy, which is certainly a look, things like the teeth still really pop. And you can just clean those metallics up a little bit more as well to give them a kind of burnished look. And there's a fella in the yellow. His pants have come out really well. Got a little hair on the handle. That'll come off. Beard hair. Managed not to snap any of these little decorations off as well. Look at the arse on that. It's fantastic. And the Zenithal adds a lot of shading to it as well, so... Whoop, here we go. Tactical finger. Yeah, I'm liking him. And a fella with a white top. I love that shoulder pad as well. I think that shoulder pads came out really well. And like I said before, if you wanted to go further and add some edge highlighting and what have you, you can do, just to make certain highlights pop a bit more. But with these just boys models, I'm not going to bother. Maybe if I liked the models a bit more, I would. And like, also I'd go through and fill some of the gaps as well with a bit of sprue goo or maybe green stuff, but for these I just wanted to get the paint on them. I wasn't that bothered about that. So there you go, 5 Ork Boyz done, slap chop, apparently, with an oil wash. And that's it. I'm quite pleased with the way they came out. It was the first time I dealt with those models as well. The new Ork Boyz from GW. They're not bad. I don't think they've really got a place in a Horde army. Well, actually no, they do have a place in a Horde army. And this is a unit of 10. Or part of a unit of 20 made up with 10 other models from a different range. If you're going to use the same 10 over and over again, you're going to be very limited with what you're going to, you know, you're going to be able to look at that unit and go, oh, look, there's 3 of them dudes on one leg. The individual ones will start standing out. But they're not bad models in themselves. They do go together horrifically, and some of them are very difficult to put together, despite the fact that they push fit. The pieces just don't seem to want to go together. You've got to angle it exactly right, just to, where's that click? Where's that click? And at this point, you know, you've got plastic glue on it and what have you, so not race against time, but you want to get it on there, you know what I mean? And they don't go together particularly well, and they do leave a few gaps when you push them together, even if you cut the pegs off to try and sort of help in that effect, I found. And there is quite a few mold lines. Maybe they're not good models. Yeah, maybe not. There's quite a lot of work needed for them, to be honest with you, so not my favourite. And I didn't go to the time and effort of actually filling any of the gaps, which I would have if I liked the model. This was just a kind of, I'm going to try this paint method on it, and I don't care what happens. It could dissolve them all. I'm not bothered. So I'm going to use these boys because, you know, couldn't give a monkeys. But I was pleased with the results. Like I say, the green from the Army Painter Speedpaints starter set, they do other greens. The Ork Flesh is a little bit too dark yet vibrant for my tastes. I have since tried out 2 of their other greens. Camo Cloak, which is a lovely green. Fuck all use for Ork Flesh, mind, but it's a nice green. Good, like a military sort of olive drab type colour. And Malignant Green, which is basically Plague Bearer Flesh. Nothing wrong with that. Works quite well. Put a Bealtan wash over it and it'll come out nice and bright and avocado. But no real different than the Plague Bearer Flesh. I mentioned in the vid there, I have tried the Mantis Warrior Green from GW, one of their new contrast paints. I've tried that on a few. It's sort of, it's a midway point between Plague Bearer Flesh and Plague Bearer Flesh with a Bealtan wash. It kind of, there's my chair clicking, it kind of sort of hits that middle ground. And if you put the Bealtan on, it looks pretty nice, to be fair. So that's an option as well. I'll probably do that on the other 5 boys in the squad, which I'll get done at some point in the very, 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 very near future. The other colours, though, were spot on. I do think it's very important to pick up a few more browns and greys and what have you, so you've got a bit of a range, because the primary colours, the reds and the yellows and the blues, although very nice, are like bright. So if you don't like that cartoony sort of vibe, it might not be for you. But like again, if you put the oil wash on, it does bring them down a few shades, you know what I mean? It's pretty good. And you can put it on stick or as thin as you want. Anyway, I'm kind of rabbiting on now. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Give the bell a little tickle. I know this is YouTube, it's been around for years and people know to do this now, but I still get lots of views from people who aren't subscribed, which concerns me. So, yeah, do us a solid, will you? Click. Hooray! Done. And I can sleep tonight. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. And until next time, take care.